Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Elevation Through Hindsight, where we believe that the stories of others can encourage, inspire, and uplift. I am excited today. We have a special guest on, Mr. Curtis Jones. I don't want to steal his thunder, but here's what I will tell you that his journey involves him being fed up with a current or a certain situation, and he did something about it. His journey involves him meeting an obstacle, and Curtis decided, I'm going to change something. His journey also involves him creating or demonstrating a level of resiliency almost beyond anything that I've ever seen before. So, without telling your story, man, because if I keep talking, I'm gonna tell everybody the story, and then we ain't got no show. Curtis, over to you, brother.
I appreciate it, James. I appreciate it. I do thank you for bringing me out, reaching out to me through Facebook and saying, "Hey, I seen your story.
Mm-hmm.
I want to hear more about it." But I definitely appreciate it because I feel like I'm just a normal guy. I'm not doing anything outlandish or out of the ordinary. But everybody that I've kind of came in contact with is just like, nah, this is
Oh yeah,
this ain't
it's
what
not
people do
normal.
most of the time.
Yeah,
So.
for real, no doubt. So,
uh,
man, start us off, Curtis. Tell us, man, about your background, childhood, how you grew up,
Okay.
and then just kind of walk us through from then to where you're at right now.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm gonna go through the whole gamut. I am 37 right now. Will be turning 38 in August. I am a military brat, if you will.
Okay.
My father was he's retired Army. So that left with a lot of childhood being stationed different places. I know for the
Hmm.
the one that was a little bit more vivid was us being in Germany. I granted I was still young, so I don't remember much about it, but I know we were there. And then eventually my through everything, my dad ended up getting stationed. We've been in Watertown, New York before. I used to love being upstate New York, and then eventually he was getting stationed in Chicago. He didn't want us to go to Chicago, so we stayed back home in North Carolina, where I'm actually born and raised from,
Okay.
and currently still residing. I live in Charlotte without giving too many details about where I'm at.
Right.
But no, as growing up as a kid, I guess you could say, I don't know, you just growing up, moving here, there, and everywhere, kind of don't know how to work through emotions and things of that nature. So I found, I'll just come out and say it, I found comfort in food.
Okay.
It was a place of, no, they couldn't tell me no, they couldn't tell me this. If I had the food, I found the comfort in it, and without long story short, ended up getting to. I say I was at 525 pounds, and the only
Hmm.
reason, only reason I say I was at that amount because the last time I was able to actually get weighed was I had gotten like I was sick. Had to go to urgent care emergency room or something like that, and they were only able to weigh me on a scale that they had that you can get your weight from if you're on a wheelchair. So that was like the
Okay.
525 mark. I know I some people tell me I was probably bigger than that, but I was like, I don't know. That's the only number I had in my head. So that's the
Yeah.
number that I go with.
Okay.
Um but yeah, that's kind of like how things. I mean, I know it's kind of like the long and short of it. I can go into, I ate my feelings. I was a sick kid, and it's actually true. I'm a middle child. I
Hmm.
always say the middle child syndrome hit me heavy. I was the one with the allergies. I was the one that was sick all the time. I was always the one that was bedridden. So I wasn't the most active, and I'm the video games, the anime watching, the everything like that. So
Okay.
it ended up getting that got away from me. It wasn't from lack of trying on my dad's part because he was like, you need to get out, you need to exercise, and I'm just like, nah, I'm all right, man. I'm good. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm healthy, if you will. Nothing
Hmm.
actually wrong with me. Whole time not going to the doctors, not getting checked out, not anything like that. So
Yeah.
that kind of blew up and went on for years. Like I said, wild. Like I didn't actually start looking into getting into it all and losing the weight until February of 2019. So
Okay.
from I was always a heavy kid. So from start to around then, nobody couldn't tell me nothing. I was just
Yeah. So you had kind of gotten used to that. So what happened, or what would you think? Was there a specific defining moment in March 2019 where you said, I'm fed up, I'm done, and that something has to change?
Yeah, it was a culmination of things. Sometimes it's kind of like you get to that point where you have that breaking point where you say enough is enough. Um and that's okay because I've mentioned this kind of stuff on my Instagram before, but anytime I go to a doctor, the first thing that they throw out is my weight. Yeah. The first thing they say, because me and my wife trying to have kids, the first thing that they pop out and say is, well, you're heavy. That's why. But even in the back of my mind, I'm like, I see heavier people than me, or as heavy as me having kids just fine. But okay, that's what it is. Your asthma because your weight, your allergies because your weight. So everything was so that in that department, that's what it was.
Okay.
So then it was other things like, okay, that's one thing. We want to have kids. They said it's weight. I got to have in the back of my mind, I need to start losing this weight. And I tried a few things, little green smoothie challenges, things of that nature to kind of build that habit, but it never stuck. Like the times that I tried it. So, you'll hear those people that say I've done different diets throughout the year. Like it wasn't like I did a lot of them, but it was like I've done a few. Okay. And they seem to stick for a little bit, but then they just right back at it. So trying that, the health issues that came about, because once we started going that route where we'll go, if it's my weight, let me actually start going to the doctors, because I tend to not go to the doctor. I know that can be said for a lot of men, but then also a lot of Black men as well, where we don't go to the doctor at all. We, my family member went to the doctor and they ended up, next thing you know, they lost a foot, stuff like that. So went to the doctor, found out that I had high blood pressure. So that was like another thing that was like on the back of my mind. Still, dealing with high blood pressure, taking the medication, not losing the weight. So it's kind of like that. That's why I mean like a culmination, different things.
Yeah, man, that's like a pack, and I know you being an Army kid, right? Growing up and seeing your dad, I'm pretty sure there were a few times where you saw him wear a pack on his back. Yeah. And when I hear your story, it's like every time somebody would tell you something, it's like, hey, here's another rock in the pack. Yeah. And eventually in the Marine Corps, we like to say ounces equals pounds and pounds equals pain. And eventually that had to weigh on you and add up.
Yeah. Oh, most definitely. And that's the thing, like around that time, me and my wife were looking at houses, and I was like at a point, my knees, I was having like starting to get those kind of issues with my weight, my knees hurting, can't really walk too far. And we were looking at houses, and another rock, as you will, she wanted to get a house with a balcony off the bedroom. And I'm like, man, I'm trying to get a ranch style house.
Yeah.
Walk up any steps. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was like, but I want to say that's kind of like, once that's what led up. We got the house in 2018. I muddled my way through going up the steps, but eventually it was just like, I am kind of tired of being tired. So it wasn't just like when I had an epiphany. It was just like, okay, I really, really have to do something about this. Yeah. And then it's also, as I mentioned, I'm a middle child. I have my older brother, and I say had because they say that high blood pressure runs in the family, and he had it as well, but he always like talked to me and said, I want you. He was worried about me at the size that I was. I want you to be here longer. I want you to be here with me. Those kind of things. So eventually, it just became, and I always say it's kind of cliches, but I say enough was enough, and it actually was. And then I started doing a little bit of research right in February of 2019 and saying like, what do I want to go with in regards to what I want to do that can still resonate with me and I can keep it going long term. And then I fell upon keto or keto low carb, whatever you want to say. But yeah, keto. And then that's why I like started doing a lot of research on Pinterest. I started just looking up everything. I was like, what do I need to do to make this happen?
So that combination of events, everything added up. The pack is heavy, the balcony in the house, and you're like, you know what? I'm about to make a change. I'm done avoiding this obstacle. I'm about to overcome this thing. Let me ask you, man, how was your support system during this time? Because I know for me personally, whenever I've gone through an adverse moment in my life or something that I needed to overcome a challenge, like my support system really, really mattered. And for me, it's my wife and kids. And I look at them and I'm like, if I don't do it for anybody else, I'm gonna do it for y'all.
Yeah.
Talk to me about your support system.
Yeah, and that's the thing as well. And you would think earlier on, because me and my wife, we got married in 2009, so it wasn't 10 years later that's when I started doing things. So it wasn't like that's her being a thing, but she was definitely a support for me, because she's just like, I see that you actually have a determination in you that you've never had before, and I'm here for it. I've always been
That's
like your
awesome.
biggest supporter. I've always been like, I know you want to make a change, whether it's, my job at the time or anything like that. She was like, I know you want to do something different, but you just became real complacent. So it was that. My dad and my mom, my parents have both always been in my corner, but you'll have your mom that say, I love you however you are. But I have a military dad, and he's like, I guess in his head, to me, this is just how I feel. He's just like, man, my son, I'm in here, still doing push-ups and sit-ups at the time, and he in here just loafing around eating. So I mean, sometimes he would do that, but in other times, I know it came from a place of love. Like, he didn't want me to end up that way.
Yeah.
And that's how I look at it now. Because when I was younger, I was like, man, he always riding me. But then once I started like making that change, I could see like he's been there for me the entire time. So that's what it was. And then my wife's mother, stepfather, father, like everybody is just like we like where this is going. I even like started that process, like started like cutting certain things out and eating a little differently. And then my mother-in-law was just like, let me see what's going on. Let me look into this as well. Not like keto, but she started like looking more into her health and things. So the support system is definitely needed. It really is. Because I always say, oh, go ahead.
No, wait.
I was just gonna say, because I always say I'm a loner, so I always like to tend to do things on my own. Like I figured out that I wanted to do this on my own. I just started like researching and started doing it. But you're right. It's definitely the people that are in your corner that's gonna say like, I'm proud of you. I like what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. That they keep going. So
I love it, man. I heard something last week that said the journey of 10,000 miles starts with one step. And that really, really resonated with me. I'm like, man, like we have to take that first step.
Yep.
Like we got to take that first step. We can't get discouraged. And once we take that first step, I think that helps us build like, you know what, I took one step. Maybe I can take two. And like, damn, two wasn't that bad. I might mess around and take 3 or 4. And before you know it, man, you're off, you're running, you're sprinting. Did you ever have a point, Curtis, where you felt like this is too much? I know I got a great support system. I know what I need to do, but this is overbearing. I don't know if I can handle this.
Yeah, and I would say that really happened, and I guess that can happen with a lot of people, but that really happened earlier on, because as I said, I was I went into this kind of laser focused. I was like, you can get your clouded in the sense of everything. So I was just like, okay, let me start working on cutting out sweets. Let me start working out cutting out sodas, cutting out pasta, cutting out rice, things of that nature. So it's basically what's the question again? I'm sorry.
So I was saying like kind of what kept you going, or did you ever have a point to where you was like, this is too much, it's overbearing?
Yeah, so yeah, thank you for that. So yeah, starting off that way, it made it a little bit easier, but I would say like earlier on where I'm thinking, or like I'm like, because I always say mindset is everything. So I'm thinking like, okay, I see other people doing something and they're losing weight. Why am I not losing it? So it started being like internal battles with myself, saying like, okay, this is too much. I cut out all this, nothing's still not moving the way I wanted to.
Yeah.
I would say it was probably like the first 3 months were the hardest for that, because I just like everybody, that's when you have your social gatherings and your people are your close-knit, either work friends or family, are just like, are you sure you don't want to eat some of this? You sure you don't want, like, so all the temptations came in, you know, holidays, whatever holiday, 4th of July, we got the hamburgers with the buns.
Oh man,
so it's just that. And then so it came like, oh man, should I? But I always had in the back of my mind, I know a lot of people don't like to use this word in the environment because it can be kind of have a stigma behind it. But when I went into it, I said, I am not going to cheat on what I'm doing. it's going to be like lifestyle. And that basically became my mantra in the back of my head. Somebody will offer me something. No, I'm okay. It's okay to say no. It's okay to be like, no, that's okay. I don't need that. That's fine. But I would say, yeah, the first 2 to 3 months, I was like, man, I gave up rice, and I used to have rice with everything. I used to eat pasta, bread. I go out to the restaurant, bread.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was like the hardest, but it was just me telling myself, nope, you got goals, you know what you need to do. This is a lifestyle. And I don't know why, just that internal voice actually clicked this time, but it was just like, yo, nah, keep it going. You already got this far. I know it's hard. Keep going. And then eventually to this day, I still do that. I walk in like Walmart or something, be like, yo, this bread smell good walking down the aisle. Should I grab it? And then the internal voice is like, nah.
Yeah. I love it, man. It seems like you created a habit. And I tell folks all the time, I'm like, a habit is something that, and I got this from James Clear in his book, Atomic Habits. And he was saying that a habit is something that is done so often that it becomes automatic. So it's like that voice in the back of your head, every time that thing would come up, like regardless of what it is, somebody offering you food, you smelling bread, you know, and it's crazy how whenever you shouldn't have something, it always seems to come around. It's like before you know it, man, it's pasta and bread at every turn, and now it's free. So it makes it even easier to give into the temptation. But that habit that was formed in the back of your head was like, nope, like you said, laser focus. We got goals. We got somewhere that we want to be, and we're not getting off this train.
Yep. And I even have went to, and that's another thing as well. Like, I know everybody wants to be social, and they want to, when they go places, they want to eat, and they feel left out if they don't eat the same thing. At this point, I don't mind. Me and my wife or a friend will go out, and they'll be like, "What do you want to order?" Like, there's times like we went to a place that was just we in the South, so a lot of stuff is just gonna be fried food. And I'm just like, well, is there anything on the menu that I can have? And we've actually walked out of places because I'm like, I don't want to just be like, well, I'm here anyway, let me eat something. So I'll go to another place and be like, nah, if this can't fit into what I can do, why even force myself to do it?
100%. You can't lower your goals or yourself to appease people. I do love the fact now that it seems like restaurants and food establishments, they are more inclusive to people with different diets. And so I do appreciate that. But that takes some courage right there, man, because I'm from the South too. I'm from Georgia originally. And I'm living in Texas right now. So when you talk about stuff being fried and like ham hocks and everything, like the collard greens ain't collard greens, man, unless they got 15 pounds of smoked neck bones in it. But then that eventually leads to high blood pressure, or what the old folks would call it, the sugar. And then your feet swelling up and you got all kind of health problems, and you're like, I don't know what happened. I think we do know what happened. So
exactly. and that's the thing. Like, some people, they, like I said, and that's the way I am. But like I said, I've always been a loner, so I'll go with people. And you don't also always have to like fit into the norm, so to speak. So now when I go, I'll look and I'll say, okay, you're right. Most restaurants, a lot of restaurants will still have those, the vegan options or the gluten-free. Sometimes I'll go and like, oh, I just feel like wanting to have a little vegetables or like, just something different. But I also like doing this because it's changed my mindset from where I was before in regards to what I would grab or what I would go for. Now it's like I make a conscious effort to say, okay, well, they have green beans, they have broccoli. Don't necessarily have to have broccoli with cheese all the time. I got broccoli. I got, if I go to a barbecue restaurant or something like that, oh, do y'all do it without sauce? Yeah, we got it on the smoker. You in Texas, so that's all the but I get the briskets and the sausage and stuff. Like, I'm all in. So it's like you gotta pick and choose what works for you when you go to these places. So.
Yeah, and I like it because it's not like, hey, I lost 300 pounds and I stayed in the house and I was antisocial and I had to starve myself. It's like, no, I was still able to go out, be among the population, have a good time when I wanted to, and be social when I wanted to. And I just had to find how what I was trying to achieve would go with whatever that restaurant had. And like you said, man, you made made those tough choices, and it's obviously paid off for you. I'll tell you, like, of the pictures you put up in your journey, the one that inspired me the most was you were on a cruise, and on the cruise you were just kind of sitting down, and your face to me looked like, man, you were depressed. You were like, this is it. I came on this boat just to sit here, get some sun and hang out.
Yeah.
And then the picture that was beside it, man, you look vibrant. Like, I'm out here, I'm in it to straight up win it. Let's go.
Yeah.
Like, I love that. Like, you can see the change through pictures, man. So for you to accomplish what you've accomplished is truly amazing. And it's outside the norm. It really is.
And it's funny that you say that, because I'm all, now that you know, pandemic, COVID still a thing. We used to go on a cruise. We try to go like every year, but we used to go. And the thing is, I have a buku pictures of me being on a cruise earlier on. And I really don't have any now that I'm like in the body that I am now. So we went December 2019 after I'd already started in March. So I think around that time I lost maybe like 100 to like 130 pounds from March to then. Like, when I tell you I went in and I was
all gas, no brakes.
Yeah, exactly. so when we went on that cruise, I got like the little comments from my family members, because before you were right. I was like, I'm on the boat. I'm just going to lay down. I'm going to sit, because I can't really walk too far. Or if I'm going to walk somewhere, it's going to be to the buffet and then it's back. Like, that was in my mind. But then when we went to like that last cruise, Puerto Rico, I think we went to like Amber Cove, stuff like that on Carnival. I was walking around. I was like, oh man, I got some pep in my step. I
got some energy now, baby.
The family was like, nobody care, you done lost a little weight. And I was like, for real? So yeah, but I even post pictures like that, and I still, I look different from then, because I kept it going. So now I've always said I'm not a runner. And I when I say middle kid syndrome, I had leg surgeries. I talked about it in a post on my Instagram before. So I'm not a runner, but I'm finding ways to get my exercise in, whether it's like mountain climbers and squats. And I didn't used to be a person that like, man, I want to exercise. Now I'm like jumping into challenges. We doing plank challenges. I'm doing wall sit challenges, and I'm just like, who is this guy? But
a whole new person. I tell you, man, that accountability, and that's what I really love about a challenge, right? Because if I link up with somebody, regardless of what stage they're at in their life or whatever they're trying to accomplish, I feel like, hey man, I'm gonna hold you accountable. You hold me accountable. And like I told you earlier, I've been in the Marine Corps now for 22 years, and I got those friends where I'm like, they'll call me like, hey, you work out today? It's like, nah, I'm tired, man. I don't feel like it. It's like, really, and they'll give me some trash talking. I'm like, man, let me get up and go do something. And then the next day I'll hit them up. Hey man, you work out? Like, nah, man, it's Friday. Hey man, what's the day off? So having that accountability partner along with the support system to push you and keep you going and keep you motivated, it's huge, man. And I think pictures speak 1,000 words. Like, when you can look back and see, man, even if I'm not where I want to be right now, I can look back and see I'm not where I once was. And that's enough for me to keep going and take one more step. And that's my whole thing in life. Just take one more step. That's it. One more step.
Yeah, because that's the thing. A lot of people, like, they want that quick turnaround, that I need the most bang for my buck, and I need it now. But doing this, you can't go into it doing that, because and I'll have some people that will reach out to me, and I'll say like, this worked for me. Like, I always preface it like, this is what I did, this worked for me. I'm never going to tell somebody this is what you need to do, because everybody's different. But they'll reach out to me and say, like, someone will be like, oh, I need to lose this amount of weight in this amount of time. I'm like, yo, you already, don't do that. Don't put that kind of constraint on yourself, because then if you don't meet it, you're going to get defeated and you're going to turn right back around and do what you were doing before. Just go with the flow. So what we talk about in the community is like, oh, I lost 5 pounds. Okay, make smaller goals and then build up those smaller goals. A lot of people find it funny, like, that what I say is, like, when I first started, I didn't want to get on the scale. I didn't want to actually, and I went into it, when I say laser focus, I didn't want to look at myself in the mirror. I basically went all in nutrition first, because that's what I ended up doing to start getting the weight. And I know you see those little graphics where they'll say like the weight loss is like 80% nutrition, 20% exercise. And I'm like, yo, this is the truth. Change what you're putting in your body. you get a little movement, like walking here and there, it will start coming off. But I didn't want to put that constraint on myself. So I said, okay, I'm not going to look at myself in the mirror. I'm not going to weigh myself because that's just a number. All I need to know is I want to feel better. Yes. But then I went to work because I work at a call center. Granted, it's not the same anymore with the pandemic. They moved people more remote. But back then, before it all happened, they were like, "What are you?" They would always ask me, like, "What are you doing?" Like, one, we see a little boost in confidence, but we see what you're doing. And I'm like, "What? Y'all see it?" Because in my mind, I'm still 525 because I wasn't looking at myself. I wasn't weighing myself. I was just, doing what I was doing. And they were like, "No, we can tell that you've lost the weight." And I'm like. Then next thing I start realizing, I'm like, oh, these my clothes are fitting different. Yeah. I didn't even talk about like 525. I was shopping at Casual Male Destination XL. I was in 8X shirts and 60-inch pants. Like I didn't even really get into the meat of that, but to know that I was like, okay. Oh, maybe you are onto something. Let me buy a leather hole puncher from Amazon, and I'm putting holes in my belt, and I'm like, oh, this tells me enough. This tells me enough that what I'm doing is working. My clothes. I have coworkers at the time saying, I'm gonna need you to go and get some clothes because the clothes that you have on right now is falling off. Your pants, you don't put too many holes in the belt. You look like you wearing pants. You wearing parachute pants. I'm like, oh, you are right. Let me actually do something. But it's like that also was a part of the support system because once they saw that I was doing it, I kept doing it. Just being able to see them every day and just saying like having that word of encouragement. I like what you're doing. Just made it all worth it. So
that's awesome, man. And I tell you, and to everybody listening right now, please take that. Like if somebody in your life that you know, that you love, that you care about, whatever goal they're trying to accomplish, celebrate those small victories. Like you don't have to wait till the end to start celebrating. Like, why do I gotta wait till I accomplish the whole thing? Hell no, we're gonna celebrate now. Man, I'm gonna throw a party for every pound that I lose. and I like parties, so I'm gonna get used to just throwing parties all the time and just keep losing weight, but I think that's important that that support system sees it. And that provides a certain level of affirmation that I'm on the right track. On the right track. So what would you tell the people right now, whether or not they're dealing with weight loss as a challenge, alcoholism, whatever it is, what would you tell them?
I would just, because a lot of people in the weight loss community, they say that this is, food can be an addiction, or the habit of what foods we put in can be an addiction. It's just, one is going to be ask for help. Whether it's like if you're not going to a therapist or you're not going to, like I wasn't going to the doctor, if you're not going to a doctor regularly, I would say definitely do that. Once I started doing that and I had like a physician actually tell me, this is actually, you've went on thinking you're healthy and you're not. It's just like having that realization, but then also just take it a step at a time. Like that's the one though, like you said, like take it, I say just you stick your pinky toe out there, just a pinky toe at a time, and then just start little and then build from there. Like it doesn't have to be all at once. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to go into this. I'm losing 50 pounds if it's going to be weight loss, or I'm if you smoke, okay, well, let me not smoke this pack a day and just, break it up. Or if you drink and be like, okay, I don't need that drink right now. What do I necessarily need it? If it's food, do I necessarily need that right now? So it's just basically just start slow and then just build up. It will come.
I love it, man.
If you keep it going.
I absolutely love it. And I think that's great advice for anybody, that those small steps, that incrementalism, it adds up. Growing up playing football, I would always hear my coach say that it's a game of inches. And as an adult, I finally realized the gravity of what coach was saying. Like, hey, don't focus on a touchdown. Focus on 3 yards this play. Just get 3 yards. Because if you can average 3 yards, like we're going to be okay. And I think that's the problem. Like you said, man, is people have a goal and they focus on the mountaintop.
Yep.
And when you're at the bottom of the mountain, that can be deafening. Yeah. Like you're looking all the way up. Like, I don't know how I'm gonna get there. Like, you know what? I'm not focused on that. I need to take 2 steps today, or as you said, 1 pinky toe.
Yep,
And then
yep.
tomorrow is another toe. And then before I know it, I'm making steps and I'm crawling, and then I'm running. And then before you know it, I'm sprinting, and I'll look around and I'm at the top of a mountain, which is how I see you right now. You're at the top of a mountain, and you're like, what's my next mountain to conquer? So let me ask you, I know you got a GoFundMe page, man, and I definitely want to get this in before we leave.
Yeah.
I want people, like, for me, it touched me to the point where I felt like, man, Curtis's next mission is to get this skin removal. And I'm like, he's done everything he's had to do. He's shown dedication. He's shown discipline. He's overcame obstacles. So why wouldn't I help with this next journey? So talk to me real quick, man, about the next mission.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, first of all. But yeah, the next mission, I just went into it because I know I always joke, and that's one thing that's kind of like been with me throughout, is I've always been that jovial type of person. So when I went into losing the weight, and I didn't want to lose that, I always said there's not enough snapback in the world for where I was at to where I am. And I know it goes by like genetics or whatever it is. Like I can drink I can down all the collagen, but I call them water wings, but the water wings, your stomach, the man boobs, I'm gonna say it all, but the stomach area, that the thighs, like that's going to be with me. So yeah, the next journey is definitely, because I feel like I've gotten to this step, but I'm not my true self, or my final form, for anybody that watches anime. It's a Dragon Ball Z thing. Yeah. But I'm always like, I'm not at where I feel like I can be, where my clothes fit well. I mean, they good and all that, little but I mean, it's just like I feel like I'm not where I can fully be until that's done, because of that. I see it as like, yeah, it's a badge of honor, which a lot of people talk about, but it's also a hindrance. Like I know, like I want to be able to fit in a size 34 pair of pants that I just wore and fit into a company where it doesn't look like I'm busting out like biscuits. So yeah, that's like the next journey. I already, met with a cosmetic surgeon, plastic surgeon, whatever you want to say. He does, he focuses on weight loss surgery. So this is what he does. And he was basically like, you've done this. I showed him my Instagram page. He was like, wow, you've kept it off. I'm like, yeah. So that's always, even with, I know I'm getting on a tangent, sometimes this happens, but even with doctors and everything, when they see that, they were like, I should put you in a medical book. Like I've actually been told that I should, like one that I've met when I was heavier, to then meeting again, he was like, I should literally put you in a health book to say that here, it can be done.
It can be done. It's possible.
Yep. So when I meet with them, they're just saying, yeah, this is what we want to do. So I've just got my mind made up. I'm just like, any assistance will be appreciated. But I just like, even just sharing the story. That's all I tell people. I was like, you don't necessarily have to give anything. I appreciate it if you do, but just sharing the story is one thing.
No doubt, brother. Well, hey, man, to anybody listening and viewing right now, I'm going to ask you to give, right? Because like, love is good. Support is good. Sharing is good. But we can't spend love at the doctor. Like, that's just the way things work. So please, if you have it in your heart, and find time in your finances, throw a few bucks Curtis away. I am going to, when we put this show out, I am going to add in his GoFundMe link. And this is not, like I said, this is not the person that like has made 0 steps on their own and is saying, hey, help me out. This is a guy that has made a lot of steps, 300 pounds worth of steps to be exact. And now he's saying, hey, man, look, this next obstacle, I can't do it with just determination. Like, so that's where we come in. That's where humanity comes in. Curtis, I sincerely appreciate you coming on here. I thank you. I wish you the best. I'm going to keep following your journey. I'm posting your Instagram. I'm posting your Facebook, man. I want to see folks support you like no other, brother.
I appreciate it. I really do. To the bottom of my heart, I thank you.
No worries, man. All right. Hey, y'all, we out. Another episode of Elevation Through Hindsight. God bless.